Even someone who's been around a few years like I have, I learned something in these Hall of Fame inductions. I have to be honest, I did not know that Father Mike was a quarterback at Darlington High School back in the day. So tell us about it. How good was he?
Yeah, so that was in the mid-'60s, and we grew up in Darlington, Wisconsin. Grew up in a dairy farm. He's the oldest of 8. And Darlington had a long tradition of football greatness, and we didn't have any lights at the field. We played at the county fairgrounds. And so on Friday afternoons of home games, the entire town would close, and football was a really big deal. And of course, that was during the era of the Packer teams that were great. And you know, leading up to the '63 Rose Bowl, my dad bought our first colored television set, and we got to see the '63 Rose Bowl game in color. So Mike had a long history of loving the Badgers, loving football, and that kind of led him into his relationship with the university.
Derek spoke to it, others, any player, probably anybody, period, who got to know Father Mike, they mentioned he was such a great listener and had this calming influence. Was he always that way before we knew him as Father Mike? Was that the Mike that you knew growing up?
We probably knew him differently in the family.
I was kind of hoping that was the answer, but I had to ask.
So, no, he really was. And you know, we were blessed to have him as our brother. And, you know, being a parent of his nieces and nephews, I know my siblings would say the same thing, his relationship with our kids and his relationship with Wisconsin football brought so much joy and happiness to our family. So we're really thankful for that. But, you know, early on, you know, he made the decision to go into the seminary and become a priest. And I think it was part of a decision he made to really live a meaningful life. And so in his 40 years working with the program and working with young people, he always did have that positivity. Keep hope alive was an expression you would have heard from him a lot. And so I think he kind of tried to live that and have an influence on people that way.
Well, in ways we always, I mean, Father Mike is always going to be someone we remember, and now with his name on a scholarship, the Father Mike Scholarship. Tell us about that for football.
He would be so honored and so humbled to be associated with the long tradition of walk-on football players and success here. He would be just immensely proud of that, and we are as well. It is one of those things where, again, going back to keep hope alive, I think having a dream about your life and having a dream about what you could do with your life was important to him. And I think that's part of what he tried to instill in other people as well, and kind of rubbed off in his association with the coaches and the families and the students and their families, and just a good situation for him. Very thankful for all of that.
What do you think of all this? All the attention on Father Mike, if he's sitting here, what would he say to us tonight, right now?
He'd say it was no big deal. You know, he was humble that way.
Very much so. I want to give you the stage. I know you've got some folks you would like to thank.
I do, and really on behalf of our family, many of whom there's a whole row full of siblings and nieces and nephews here. First, I want to thank Chris McIntosh and the University of Wisconsin Athletic Administration for this honor and so helpful in helping us prepare for tonight, for the W Club and the Hall of Fame Committee for selecting him to be honored. It's just an amazing recognition of his work. I want to thank Cindy and Barry Alvarez and Robin and Paul Chris for decades-long friendships and support of Mike, and all the players and coaches and staff and their families. He loved knowing everyone associated with this program in so many different ways. Also want to thank all those players who started the scholarship in his honor, recognizing the great effort that walk-on players make and the hope that they have around their lives, and he would be all over that. So I want to thank all those players who stepped up and did that. Also want to thank, you know, everyone who made his life so happy. We recognize what he did for other people, but everyone that interacted with him over the 40 years that he was involved here brought him so much joy and so much happiness and so much meaning to his life, well lived. So I want to thank everybody for being so kind to him.